The stars outside the window looked peaceful. Little Minho pressed his face against the cold glass and counted them. He was 7 years old, and this was his first time in space. His mother had promised him that the trip would be safe. She had promised him that they would see amazing things. She had promised him that everything would be fine. Dr. Kimuna watched her son from across the room and smiled. She was the chief medical officer on the diplomatic ship Horizon. And she had brought Minho because the mission was supposed to be simple. Just a routine meeting at Volantis Prime, the big space station where different alien species came to talk and trade. Nothing dangerous, nothing scary. Captain Park Doyon stood on the bridge and looked at the station growing larger on the screen. He had served Earth for 20 years. He had seen many alien species. He had learned to smile when they looked down on humans. He had learned to stay quiet when they called Earth a young world and humans a primitive species. That was the game. Smile. Stay small. Don't make trouble. Humanity had joined the Galaxy Council 80 years ago. In that time, humans had learned their place. They were at the bottom. The Grethians ruled everything. They were tall, powerful, and ancient. They had conquered half the galaxy before humans learned to make fire. To them, humans were like children playing at being adults. The Horizon docked at Volantis Prime without any problems. Captain Doyon led his team to the meeting room. Dr. Kim Yuna walked behind him with Minho holding her hand. The boy looked at everything with wide eyes. He had never seen so many different aliens before. Some were tall with gray skin. Some were small with too many eyes. Some floated in the air. Minho thought it was wonderful. The meeting started well. Humans wanted to trade medical technology for rare minerals. Simple, fair. Everyone seemed happy. Then Counselor Torvak walked into the room. Torvak was a Grethian leader. He was old, even by Grethian standards. He had spent his entire life believing that the Grethians were the greatest species in the universe. He hated the young species. He hated humans most of all. Their quick growth, their strange emotions, their annoying hope, it all disgusted him. "Stop the meeting," Torvak said. His voice was cold and sharp. "We have found evidence that Earth has placed spies in Grethian territory." Captain Doyon stood up slowly. "That is not true, Counselor. Earth has no spies. We have followed every rule." Torvak smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Are you calling me a liar, human?" The room became very quiet. Everyone knew what was happening. Torvak wanted a fight. He wanted to hurt the humans. He wanted to remind everyone that Grethians could do whatever they wanted. "I am simply stating the truth," Doyen said carefully. "We have no spies." Torvak waved his hand. The doors opened, and Grethian soldiers marched in. They were huge, each one standing over 2 meters tall. Their armor was black, and their weapons were ready. "Search them," Torvak ordered. "Search everything." Dr. Kim Yuna pulled Minho close to her. The boy was scared now. The soldiers looked mean. They pushed people. They broke things. They shouted in a language Minho did not understand. "Please," Yuna said to the nearest soldier. "My son is frightened. Let me take him somewhere safe." The soldier did not answer. He grabbed Yuna's arm and pulled her away from Minho. The boy screamed for his mother. Another soldier grabbed him. "Mama!" Minho cried, "Mama!" Captain Doyon ran toward them. "Stop. He is just a child. He has done nothing." A soldier hit Doyon with the back of his weapon. The captain fell to the ground, blood running from his head. The other humans tried to help, but more soldiers held them back. Counselor Torvak watched all of this with cold eyes. He walked slowly toward the crying boy. Minho looked up at the giant alien. Tears ran down his small face. He did not understand what was happening. He just wanted his mother, humans, Torvak said quietly. "So emotional, so weak. This child will stay with us until we finish our investigation. Perhaps this will teach your species to know your place." "No," Yuna screamed. She fought against the soldiers holding her. "He is 7 years old. Please, please, do not take my son." Torvak turned away. "Take the child to holding," Soldier lifted Minho off the ground. The boy kicked and screamed. He reached for his mother. Their fingers almost touched, but the soldier pulled him away. Mama, help me. Yuna collapsed to her knees. She had never felt so helpless in her life. She was a doctor. She saved lives. But she could not save her own son. The soldiers took Minho down a long hallway. The boy was crying so hard that he could barely breathe. He did not understand why this was happening. He had not done anything wrong. He just wanted to go home. One soldier became annoyed by the crying. Be quiet, human child. Minho could not be quiet. He was too scared. He cried louder. The soldier, without thinking, hit the boy to silence him. It was not a hard hit by Grethian standards. But Minho was human. He was small. He was fragile. The blow broke his neck. Minho died instantly. His small body went limp. His eyes stayed open, still wet with tears. The soldier dropped him on the cold metal floor and stared. He had not meant to kill the child. But he did not really care either. It was just a human. There were billions of them. When Counselor Torvak heard what happened, he paused for a moment. Then he shrugged. Unfortunate, he said. But perhaps the humans should not have brought a child to a diplomatic meeting. These things happen. When Dr. Kim Yuna saw her son's body, she did not scream. She did not cry. She simply knelt beside him and held his cold hand. Something inside her died with him. Something else woke up. Something dark and patient and very, very angry. Captain Doyen requested justice from the Galaxy Council. They refused. They called it an accident. They said no investigation was needed. They told the humans to go home and be grateful that nothing worse had happened. Before the Horizon left Volantis Prime, Captain Doyen sent a message to Earth. It was short. They killed a child. They killed Minho. He was 7 years old. They are laughing about it. Earth needs to know. The message traveled across space at the speed of light. It reached every human colony, every human city, every human heart. And somewhere deep in the darkness of space, something began to wake. Something old. Something terrible. Something that the galaxy had forgotten. Humanity remembered. Earth went silent. For 3 weeks, no human ship left the solar system. No human voice answered alien calls. No human diplomat appeared at any meeting. The galaxy noticed, but they did not worry. They thought humans were grieving. They thought humans were accepting their defeat. They thought humans were finally learning their place. They were wrong. President Beak. Nari stood in the center of the United Earth Council chamber. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had spent her life building peace. She had spent her career teaching humans to be patient with the galaxy. But now, as she looked at the faces of every world leader, she felt something different. She felt cold. You have all seen the message, she said quietly. You all know what happened. A 7-year-old boy named Lee Minho was killed by the Grethians. The Galaxy Council called it an accident. They refused justice. They told us to go home. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. I am asking for a vote, President Beak continued. Not for sanctions. Not for protests. Not for angry letters. I am asking for war. For the first time in human history, every nation voted together. Every leader said the same word. Yes, there was no argument. There was no debate. There was only agreement. General Hunwoo-jin stepped forward. He was a tall man with a face like stone. He had served in the military for 40 years. He had planned for this moment since he was a young officer. Madam President, he said, we are ready. The galaxy did not know what humans had been doing for 80 years. They saw humans building hospitals and schools. They saw humans trading medicine and art. They saw humans smiling and bowing and asking politely for respect. What they did not see was what happened in the shadows. Director Jang Yoonji controlled Earth's intelligence network. She was a quiet woman who never raised her voice. But she knew more secrets than anyone alive. For 80 years, her agents had worked in every alien civilization. They learned languages. They stole technology. They mapped every military base, every weapon factory, every defense system. The galaxy thought humans were stupid and trusting. Yunji had encouraged that belief. "We know everything," she told the president. "Every ship, every soldier, every weakness. They have been watching us like we are children. They never thought to hide from children." Dr. Shin Tai-ho led the science division on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Officially, the facility studied ice and weather. Unofficially, it built weapons. For decades, Dr. Shin and his team had studied every alien species. They learned what hurt them. They learned what killed them. They built weapons designed specifically for each enemy. "The Grethians believe their armor is unbreakable," Dr. Shin explained. "They are wrong. We found a frequency that shatters it like glass. One shot, one kill." Admiral Cho Soon-ho waited at Luna Base, Earth's moon. Behind him, hidden in underground hangars, sat 750 warships. The galaxy thought humans had perhaps 50 small ships for defense. They had never imagined that humans would lie. They had never imagined that humans could keep such a big secret. The admiral looked at his officers. They were young and old, men and women from every country on Earth. They had trained for this. They had waited for this. Some of them had grandparents who helped build these ships, knowing they would never see them fly. Today, Cho Sun-ho said, "We stopped pretending." In a small room on Luna Base, Dr. Kim Yuna sat alone. She had not eaten in days. She had not slept. She just stared at a photograph of Min-ho. In the picture, he was smiling. He was holding a toy spaceship. He was asking his mother if he could be an astronaut someday. President Beeknari entered the room quietly. She sat beside Yuna and said nothing for a long time. Finally, she spoke. "The council has voted. We are going to war. I wanted you to know." Yuna did not look up. "Will it bring him back?" "No." "Then why?" The president thought carefully before answering. "Because they need to understand. Because there are other human children out there. Because if we do nothing, they will think they can do this again. Because your son deserved better. Because we all deserve better, you know." Finally looked at the president. Her eyes were red from crying, but there was something hard in them now. Something that had not been there before. "What do you want from me?" she asked. "I want you to tell us what you need. Justice, revenge. Say the word, and we will give it to you." Yuna looked back at the photograph. She remembered Minho's laugh. She remembered his questions about the stars. She remembered his warm hand in hers. She remembered his scream as the soldiers took him away. "I want them to understand," she said slowly. "I want them to feel what I feel. I want them to know what they took from me, from us, from all of humanity." The president nodded and stood up. "Then that is what they will get." Across the solar system, engines began to power up. Ships that had been sleeping for decades came to life. Soldiers who had trained their entire lives finally received their orders. Families said goodbye to fathers and mothers, sons and daughters. Everyone knew what was coming. Everyone was ready. On Earth, people gathered in the streets. They did not protest. They did not celebrate. They just stood together, looking up at the sky, waiting. Strangers held hands. Old enemies forgave each other. In that moment, there were no countries. There were no borders. There was only humanity. The message went out to every human in the universe. It was simple. They killed one of our children. They laughed. They called it an accident. They told us to go home. Now we will teach them what happens when you hurt humanity's family. We are coming. We will not stop until justice is done. Far away, on the Galaxy Council's capital world, Counselor Torvak received a report. Human space had gone quiet. Human ships were not responding. Human colonies had stopped all communication. "Strange," he said to his assistant. "Perhaps they are mourning." His assistant nodded. "Yes, Counselor. They're probably crying and feeling sorry for themselves. You know how emotional humans are." Torvak laughed. "Pathetic species. They will never amount to anything. Let them cry. It changes nothing." Returned to his dinner, completely unaware that the most dangerous species in the galaxy had just decided to stop hiding. Completely unaware that every terrible thing humans had ever done to each other, they were now ready to do to him. Completely unaware that humanity did not cry because they were weak. Humanity cried because they remembered. And when humans remember, they do not forget. They do not forgive. They simply wait for the right moment. That moment had arrived. The Grethian Border Patrol commander was drinking his morning tea. When his ship exploded, he never saw the attack coming. None of them did. The first Earth fleet appeared out of nowhere. One moment, space was empty. The next moment, 200 human warships filled the sky. They came out of faster-than-light travel inside Grethian territory. The galaxy believed this was impossible. They believed that ships needed to slow down at safe distances. They believed wrong. Admiral Cho Sun-ho watched from his command ship as the attack began. His voice was calm when he gave the order. All ships, weapons free. Show them who we are. 17 Grethian military stations died in the first 6 minutes. Each one had thousands of soldiers. Each one had hundreds of weapons. Each one fell before they could fire a single shot. Human weapons were faster, stronger, and more accurate than anything the Grethians had ever seen. On the Grethian flagship, Commander Velthus stared at his screens in disbelief. He had served for 60 years. He had fought dozens of battles. He had never seen anything like this. How? He whispered. How are they doing this? Before anyone could answer, Lieutenant Commander Yoon Hana's fighter squadron hit his ship. Hana was 32 years old. She had trained since she was 18. Her calcine was ghost because enemies rarely saw her before they died. Her fighter moved through space like a dancer. She dodged weapons fire that should have been impossible to dodge. Her reflexes were faster than any alien pilot could understand. Humans, it turned out, had evolved as prey animals on a dangerous planet. Their survival instincts were burned into their DNA. What looked like miracles to aliens was simply nature to humans. Hana's weapons tore through the flagship's shields. Her squadron followed, hitting every critical system. The massive Grethian ship, pride of their fleet, went dark and began to drift. Target neutralized, Hana reported. Her voice was cold, professional, deadly. At the same time, the second Earth fleet appeared near Volantis Prime. This was where Minho had died. This was where the Galaxy Council had laughed at human grief. Now humans were coming back, and they were not smiling anymore. Sergeant Major Oh Dong-ho led the ground assault. He was a giant of a man, nearly 2 meters tall, with shoulders like mountains. His soldiers called him the Mountain, because nothing could move him once he decided to stand. Somewhere, 50,000 human soldiers dropped from the sky in landing pods. The station's security forces tried to stop them. They failed. Human soldiers moved through the station like a flood, were fast, coordinated, and absolutely merciless. But they were not cruel. They followed their orders exactly. Protect all civilians, Dong-ho commanded. Every species, no exceptions. We are here for the Council and the Grethians who killed the boy. Everyone else stays safe. Alien shopkeepers watched in amazement as human soldiers guarded their stores. Alien children were carried to safety by the same warriors who had just destroyed an army. The humans did not want revenge on innocents. They wanted justice. Counselor Torvak was in his private quarters when the attack began. He heard the explosions. He felt the station shake. He tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. Human soldiers were everywhere. He hid in a storage room, shaking with fear. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were weak. Humans were primitive. Humans were nothing. How could nothing be destroying everything? A door opened. Sergeant Major Dong-ho stood in the doorway, his massive frame blocking the light. Behind him, 2 soldiers held their weapons ready. Counselor Torvak Dong-ho said, his voice was flat, empty. You are under arrest for the murder of Lee Min-ho, age 7, citizen of Earth. You will come with us. Torvak tried to stand tall. You cannot touch me. I am a council member. I have immunity. Dong-ho smiled. It was not a nice smile. The council no longer exists for us. Their rules do not protect you. Nothing protects you. Come quietly, or we will carry you. The choice is yours. Torvak came quietly across the galaxy. The news spread like fire. Humans were attacking. Humans were winning. Humans were doing things that should not be possible. Species that had ruled the stars for millennia were falling to creatures they had dismissed as children. The Galaxy Council called an emergency meeting. Leaders from 40 species gathered to discuss the crisis. They were all afraid, but they tried to hide it. "How did this happen?" demanded the Volari representative. "Our intelligence," said humans had 50 ships. 50? Where did they get hundreds? "They lied to us," said the Cathani ambassador quietly. "For 80 years they lied. They let us believe they were weak. They let us believe they were stupid. They played the role of the helpless newcomer, and we believed it because we wanted to believe it." A hologram appeared in the center of the room. Admiral Cho Sun-ho looked at them with eyes that held no warmth. "Leaders of the Galaxy Council," he said, "I bring a message from Earth." He did not wait for permission to continue. He simply began reading names. Park Ga, age 45, killed by Grethian Border Patrol in 2289, claimed her ship was in restricted space. It was not. Kim Tai-woo, age 31, executed for disrespecting a Volari official in 2301. His crime was not bowing low enough. Choi Yaren, age 19, imprisoned and beaten to death for asking questions about trade regulations in 2315. The list continued. Name after name. Year after year. 80 years of humans dying because aliens thought they did not matter. The Admiral read for 4 hours. When he finished, the room was completely silent. "Did you think we forgot?" Cho Sun-ho asked quietly. "Did you think we did not notice? Did you think we would smile forever while you killed our people?" No one answered. "Lee Min-ho was 7 years old," the Admiral continued. "He liked toy spaceships. He wanted to be an astronaut, trusted that adults would keep him safe. You broke that trust. You broke his neck, and then you laughed." He paused, letting the words sink in. "We are not laughing. We are not crying. We are simply here to teach you a lesson that you should have learned long ago. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not stow." The hologram disappeared. The council members looked at each other with fear in their eyes. They had made a terrible mistake. They had believed that kindness was weakness. They had believed that patience was submission. They had believed that humans were harmless. Now they were learning the truth. And the lesson was going to be very, very painful. 3 months into the war, the galaxy finally understood what they were fighting. It was not a young species throwing a tantrum. It was something far more terrifying. Ambassador Rin of the Volani watched the war from her neutral world. The Volani had never joined the council. They had stayed peaceful and quiet for thousands of years. But now she needed answers. She requested a meeting with President Beek Nari, and to her surprise, the human leader agreed. They met on a small moon between their territories. President Beek looked tired but calm. Ambassador Rin noticed that, even exhausted, the human woman sat straight and spoke clearly. There was something unbreakable about her. "I need to understand," Rin said. "The Grethians ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. The Council had armies beyond counting. Your species has been in space for less than a century. How are you winning?" President Beek smiled sadly. "You looked at us and saw what we wanted you to see. Young, eager, harmless. You saw our art and our music and our children laughing. You thought that was all we were, and it is not." "No," the president leaned forward. "Tell me, Ambassador, have you ever studied Earth's history?" Rin shook her head. "Only briefly. Your planet seemed peaceful compared to most." President Beek laughed, but there was no joy in it. "Peaceful. We have fought over 3,000 wars in our recorded history. We invented weapons that could burn entire cities in seconds. We used them on ourselves. Twice, we hunted our planet's greatest predators to extinction not because we needed to, but because something in us needed to prove we were the most dangerous thing alive." Rin felt cold suddenly. "But your culture seems so gentle. Your music, your stories, we created beauty because we know darkness. We cherish life because we understand death. We love our children so fiercely because we know how easily they can be taken from us. Everything soft about humanity exists because of everything hard underneath." On a distant world, scholar Kethis finally published his research. He was an alien historian who had spent 40 years studying humans. He had tried to warn the council years ago, but they had called him paranoid. They had laughed at his concerns. Now they were dying because they did not listen. His report spread across the galaxy. Species that had never paid attention to humans began reading with growing horror. Humans were persistent hunters. They did not chase prey and kill it quickly like other predators. They followed it for days, never stopping, never tiring, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Their bodies could run longer than almost any creature in the known galaxy. Humans healed from injuries that would kill other species. They could survive losing limbs, survive diseases that should be fatal, survive temperatures that ranged from burning to freezing. Their planet had tried to kill them for millions of years. They survived anyway. But the most terrifying fact was simple. Humans were social animals. They formed groups. They protected those groups with absolute loyalty. And if you hurt someone in their group, they did not just fight back. They made sure you could never hurt anyone again. They are not just warriors, Kethis wrote. They are survivors. They are protectors. They have looked at the worst the universe can offer and said, we will endure. Do not fight them. You will not win. The council did not listen. They gathered their greatest fleet, 12,000 ships from 40 species. Fleetmaster Gorath, the most famous military commander in the galaxy, led them. They planned to trap the third Earth fleet at the Corin Nebula and destroy it completely. The trap worked perfectly. Commodore Baggio found herself surrounded by 12,000 enemy ships. She commanded only 800. The odds were 15 to 1. Any sensible commander would surrender. Geo was not sensible. She was human. All ships, she said calmly over the radio. They think they have trapped us. They are wrong. We have trapped them here with us. No retreat. No surrender. Make them pay for every inch. The battle lasted 6 hours. Human ships moved in patterns that alien computers could not predict. Human pilots made decisions faster than alien minds could follow. Human gunners hit targets that should have been impossible to hit. Fleetmaster Gorath watched his fleet die around him. He had studied human tactics. He had planned for human weapons. He had not planned for human spirit. His ships outnumbered the humans 15 to 1, but his soldiers fought for duty. The humans fought for something else, something he could not understand. When Earth's reinforcements finally arrived, half of Gorath's fleet was already destroyed. The other half fled in panic. They had come to crush a small enemy force. Instead, they had witnessed something that would haunt their nightmares forever. Commodore Geo had lost 200 ships, 4,000 human lives. She did not celebrate the victory. She recorded every name of the dead. She would remember them all. Back on the neutral moon, Ambassador Rin asked President Beak one final question. How far will you go? When will you stop? The president was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft but firm. We offered the galaxy our friendship. We offered our curiosity and our wonder. We wanted to learn from you. We wanted to grow with you. We wanted to be your partners in exploring the universe. She paused, and something cold entered her eyes. You killed a 7-year-old boy. He was holding his mother's hand. He was crying for her when he died, and the council called it an accident. They told us to go home. They told us to accept our place. President Beak stood up slowly. There is no far enough, Ambassador. There is no line we will not cross. There is only one rule now. You do not hurt our children. You do not hurt our families. You do not hurt our people. If you do, we will come for you. We will not stop until justice is done. Not victory. Not conquest. Justice. Rin understood finally. The humans were not fighting to win. They were fighting to teach. They wanted the galaxy to learn one simple lesson. Humans protected their own, always, no matter the cost. As she watched President Beak leave, Rin made a decision. She would tell her people to stay far away from the war. She would tell them to remember this moment. She would tell them that if they ever met a human, they should be kind, because humans remembered kindness. But they also remembered cruelty. and their memories were very, very long. 1 year after the war began, it ended. Not with a great battle, not with a dramatic last stand. It ended with silence. The Grethian dominion collapsed from within. Other species refused to fight for them anymore. The Galaxy Council dissolved because nobody believed in it anymore. The great powers that had ruled the stars for millennia simply stopped existing. Human ships gathered above Ethon Prime, the former capital of the Council. Millions of aliens looked up at the sky and waited. They expected the worst. They expected humans to burn their cities, enslave their people, and take their worlds. That is what conquerors did. That is what the Grethians would have done. The humans did something different. Admiral Cho Sun-ho broadcast a message to the entire planet. His voice was calm and clear. People of Ethon Prime, the war is over. You are not our enemies. Your leaders made choices that cost innocent lives. They have been held accountable. But we did not come here to rule you. We did not come here to hurt you. We came here for justice. Justice has been served. The humans made only 3 demands. First, Counselor Torvak would stand trial for murder under human law. Not council law. Human law. Because the victim was human, and humans would decide his fate. Second, a memorial would be built on Volantis' Prime. It would carry the names of every human who died because of council cruelty over the past 80 years. The galaxy would remember what happened. They would never be allowed to forget. Third, the galaxy would change. No more treating young species like they did not matter. No more killing innocents and calling it accidents. No more laughing at grief. The demands were accepted immediately. Nobody argued. Nobody complained. They had seen what humans could do when they were angry. They did not want to see it again. On a space station far from Ethon Prime, a very old alien waited. They called him the Elder. He had lived for 12,000 years. He had watched empires rise and fall like waves on a beach. He had seen conquerors come and go. Now he wanted to speak with the human leader. President Beeknary agreed to meet him. She was tired. The war had taken everything from her. But she sat with the ancient being and listened. "I've watched your species for 80 years, the Elder said. His voice was like wind through leaves, soft and sad. I thought I understood you. I was wrong. What did you think we were?" Beeknary asked. "Children. Harmless and confused. Like many young species before you, most young species grow up, learn their place, and fade away. I thought you would do the same. And now." The Elder was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, there was summit. Hing like fear in his ancient eyes. "I have seen conquerors before. The Grethians conquered half the galaxy before they grew tired. The Volari burned worlds for sport. Dozens of species rose up, dominated everything around them, and eventually fell. They fought for territory. They fought for power. They fought for pride." He leaned forward, studying the human woman's face. "But I have never seen a species go to war for a single child. Your kind does not fight for territory. You did not take any worlds. You do not fight for power. You refuse to rule anyone. You fight for each other. That is why you terrify me." President Beek nodded slowly. "We are not monsters, Elder. We do not want to hurt anyone. We just want to protect our own. Is that so hard to understand? For most species, yes. Individuals matter less than the group. The death of one child would be sad, but not worth a war. But for you," he shook his head, "for you, every single person matters. Every life is precious. Every death is a wound that never fully heals." He stood up slowly, his ancient bones creaking. "That is why you will outlast us all. Not because you are strong, not because you are smart, but because you care so deeply that you will fight until there is nothing left to fight with. The galaxy is lucky that you only asked for justice. You could have asked for everything." The trial of Counselor Torvak was broadcast across the galaxy. Billions of beings watched as the former leader was brought before a human court. He had lost weight. He had lost his pride. He looked small and broken. Dr. Kim Yuna sat in the front row. She had not spoken publicly since her son died. She did not speak now. She simply watched. The evidence was presented. The facts were clear. Torvak had created false charges against the humans. He had ordered the soldiers who took Minho. He had dismissed the child's death as an accident. He had laughed about it. The verdict was guilty. But the sentence surprised everyone. Torvak would not be executed. He would not be imprisoned in darkness. Instead, he would spend the rest of his long life maintaining the memorial on Volantis Prime. Every day, he would tend the flowers that grew around the names of the dead. Every day he would look at Minho's name carved in stone. Every day he would remember what he had done. Death is too easy, the judge explained. We want him to live with what he did. We want him to see the face of that child every single day until he dies. That is human justice. Young Cadet Park Somi visited the memorial a year later. She had just graduated from Earth's military academy. She stood with her classmates in the garden, looking at the names on the walls. There were so many names. So many people lost. Their instructor was Captain Park Doyan. He had been there when Minho died. He had sent the message that started the war. Now, he taught the next generation. Why did we fight? A young cadet asked. We could have accepted the council's decision. We could have stayed quiet. We could have avoided all this death. Doyen looked at the memorial for a long moment before answering. The galaxy measured strength in ships and weapons. They counted soldiers and planets and resources. They looked at their numbers and decided they were more powerful than us. He turned to face his students. They forgot the most important thing. Strength is not what you have. Strength is what you are willing to sacrifice everything to protect. We showed them what humans protect. We showed them what happens when you hurt our family. The sun was setting over Volantis' prime. The memorial glowed golden in the fading light. Somewhere in the gardens, an old alien bent over the flowers, pulling weeds with shaking hands. He had once ruled an empire. Now he served the memory of a child. The stone at the center of the memorial was simple. It read, Lee Minho, age 7, beloved son. The galaxy learned the price of innocence because of you. Sleep well, little one. You are avenged. You are remembered. You are loved. Visitors from across the galaxy came to see it. Many of them did not understand why humans cried when they read the words. So they asked. The answer was always the same. Because he was ours. And we never forget our own. The stars shone down on the memorial as night fell. Somewhere out there, humanity continued. They explored new worlds. They made new friends. They raised new children. They lived and laughed and loved, but they never forgot. They never would.